Guys, welcome back to the shop. As you can see, it's a little bit messy. We're adding some more shelving. So that's exciting, but it's kind of a disaster right now. Today, I'm gonna show you guys a technique. It might be new to you, it might not be. It is called drop shotting. And I think it's one of the best techniques for beginners, for perch, for crappie, for walleye, for smallmouth bass. Like it's so versatile. And for someone that maybe doesn't have really good feel, not the same fish sense, it's a good rig, because essentially what it is, it's the weight on the bottom, a hook a couple inches up with your bait on it, and the whole key is keeping the weight on the bottom. So often when you're fishing, you know, jigs and that sort of stuff, you want to swim it 12 inches off the bottom to stay in that strike zone. But the beauty of the drop shot is the weight's on the bottom, the bait's up top. So as long as your weight's on the bottom, your lure is in the perfect strike zone. So we'll talk more about that yet. But I have some molds that are actually pretty ideal for drop shots. This is the one that we're gonna play with the most today. It's called the crosstail carrot. It is like a typical drop shot minnow type mold. And we've got some other ones, some smaller ones for crappies and stuff like that. But that's the main mold we're gonna be using today. We're gonna be pouring some soft plastics, which I love. I love making my own lures and doing these type of videos. And then we're gonna go into the water and see if we can catch some fish with it. And I'll kind of show you the ins and outs of drop shotting and how I rig it up. But first thing, we gotta get some safety gear on. We gotta get some plastic melting. And I'm not gonna go too in depth with the lure making, but here we go. Got the plastisol. We're not gonna make too many today. That looks good. Put it in for 3 minutes for the first run. While it is microwaving, normally it takes like a couple 2 to 3 minute increments to get to temperature. Giving a shout out to Princess Auto. They've been partnering on my channel for a while, and they help make it possible for me to make YouTube videos for you guys to watch. So huge shout out to them. As you can see, I use a bunch of their stuff. Gloves, you can get masks there. And this is actually something new that I got for lure making. These are C-clamps that I need to clamp over my mold, but something that's kind of unique about this, maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe these have been around for a long time. I've never seen them before. But your typical C-clamp, you know, you just wind it up to crank it in. But this one has a button, so it's just a quick release. So if you want to do a bunch of molds at once, it just saves me from winding it like 4,700 times. So anyways, Princess Auto, link them below with some of these tools I'm using. Anyways, we are gonna get geared up because I don't want hot plastic all over myself. And once it gets to temperature, we're gonna add, probably not add any dye, but we're just gonna add some glitter to give it a little bit of a hue. We're probably gonna go for like a bluish or gold. We'll probably go bluish, reddish minnow pattern, kind of a iridescent type sheen to it. But anyways, here we go. I'm gonna take my molds. Now they're locked in on my C-clamp. This is my injector. I'm gonna pour the plastic into this baby, and then this is what pumps into the mold. All right, it is now a nice consistency. Look at that nice blue color to it. Now we're gonna add some of that. All right, here we go. I overdid it. Here we go. We gave the baits a minute to cool. All right, here is the crosstail carrot, the one that we're gonna be using today. Sometimes the first pour doesn't go perfect, but I think that's perfect. Check this out. We're gonna pull it off here. You're gonna see the magic. Oh, baby. Those look nice. I love the molds that do lots at once. Look at these. I'll rip one off for you. That looks absolutely phenomenal. That on a drop shot is just gonna be absolute candy for anything that swims right there. All right guys, now I'm gonna show you how I rig a drop shot of what you need. So on the bottom row here, those are all drop shot weights there. So as you can see, you got quite the variety on what you're using. So you can go anywhere in between there. Typically, you probably want to go as light as you can to still feel bottom. Cater it to your situation. I'm just going to go on the bigger scale to show you guys so it's easy to see for the camera. As far as hooks go, there's like specific drop shot hooks. There's finesse wide gap. I mean, there's a bunch of different options. I think like a size 6 or a size 4 can do pretty good, but you definitely can go bigger as well. This is, you know, what I like using for smallmouth here. It's a Gamakatsu. I think it's I'd probably say a size 4, size 2, somewhere in there. So there's the hook and the weight. That's pretty much all you need, plus the plastic. So as far as tackle goes, I'd be using probably 8-pound braid for a main line, and then 8-pound fluoro for the leader material. In this case, I'm just gonna use this orange line to show you guys the knot I like to use a little bit better, and just to show you how the rig sets up. All right, so we're gonna pretend that this is coming off of my rod tip. This is a knot that apparently this is how Aaron Martins, who's a professional bass angler, one of the best guys out there at drop shotting, this is how he ties them up, and this is how I've copied it. So it's a double uni knot, and there are hooks, that specific drop shot hooks that have swivels might make it a little bit easier to tie, but this is the way that Aaron Weeb told me that he learned from Aaron Martins. So right now, I'm gonna have to use a bigger hook. This is the hook I'm gonna use for demonstration. It's a big flippin' style hook. But anyways, you're gonna take your line and you're going to double it over right there. Then you're gonna pass it through the top of the eyelet, and you're gonna tie a uni knot. So I've got that doubled line, I've got the tag end, and then I've got the tag end here, and then I've got the main line going to the rod. So I'm gonna take it in my fingers, and I'm gonna tie a uni knot now with it doubled. So I'm spinning it, you can see right there, taking that double, I'm spinning it, and now I'm going to wrap that doubled piece of line about 4 times. You can see it sliding here. So it slid. I'm gonna pull the tag end in the main line now. You could wet it as well, and it's gonna singe up. So right now, you've got a weird loopy tag end right now. That I'm gonna cut. You can trim it nice and tight. All right, so this is the key part. Right now, you have this tag end right here. You're gonna take that tag end and you're gonna pass it back through the eyelet of the hook. So you're gonna pass it back down. And now what that's gonna do is how that weight sits, it's actually gonna force the hook. So I'll lay it flat here. You can see when I put tension on it right now. When I put tension, it wants to hold that hook straight. And that's what you want it for when a smallie comes and eats, right? So the next step is to clip your weight on. There's tie-on weights. You can see this one has a little clip-on piece at the top. So basically all you're gonna do is you're gonna slide your line through that little gripper, and then wherever you want. So if the fish are biting, you know, 2 inches off bottom, 4 inches off bottom, you might want to lock your weight in there. If the fish are biting, you know, 12 inches off bottom, you lock it in. So all I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna take that line and I'm just gonna pull it. That might not work with how thick this line is, but now it's just gonna, so I pulled that line and now you can see it just notched itself. It just notched itself in there. So right there, that weight is more likely to pull off and break than you losing the entire rig. So you could even leave that tag in there if you want to adjust later. But right now, this is your drop shot rig. You've got your weight, you've got your lure sitting off bottom, and then as far as hooking it, obviously this isn't the right size example, but you're gonna hook your new bait on just like that. And then when that weight is touching bottom and you're wiggling your rod tip, that bait is just gonna dance in the water column. So that is a drop shot rig. As far as rods go, I like a 7.2 to 7.6 medium light rod with a nice soft tip. All right guys, that's it for Shop Talk. There's your drop shot rig. Obviously, you don't wanna be using line like this or a hook like this, but that's the basics of it. Next stop, we are off to Lake of the Woods to hopefully catch some fish. All right guys, we've been doing some driving around. I think we've located some bass. I'm gonna try to video game it for you. We're literally right on the edge of the ice. This is hilarious. The rig has been created. I went with a gold color and we're kind of on the top of the reef here. I zoomed in so hopefully you guys can see some video game smallies. I'm just letting that weight hit the bottom and I'm just holding my bait a couple inches off. It looks like there's a fish sliding in there on the left. I can't see my bait, but I see a fish moving. And now I'm just keeping that bait on the bottom and just kind of shaking it on a slack line. So right now these bass are gonna be kind of in a wintering area. Kind of where they ended the year is where you're gonna find them right at the start of the year. So, you know, deeper humps, points, rock, look at that fish coming up. I'm gonna try to get him to chase a little bit. He's right under it. So you can see my baits on the bottom. There's a fish coming. Got him. Oh, that was cool. Smallie fishing, and there's literally ice. Oh my goodness, that's not a smallie. Look at the size of that perch. Wow. Guys, look at that perch. That is a big, chunky perch. We're keeping that guy. Wow, I thought those were all smallmouth. So cool. So I was right on the top of the reef where those chunky boulders are. So very cool. We're gonna try to get back on it. So as far as the size of the weight goes, it really depends on how you're fishing. You know, heavier weight's probably gonna be more likely to get snagged. In this case, I'm maybe using a little bit heavier weight than I need because I wanna keep it under the live scope so you guys can, you know, see what's going on. Yeah, we'll see if we can do it again. I'm not convinced those were all perch. I think there's some smallies in the mix. People often ask me, why do I have a tiller? And it's this type of fishing. When you're trying to stay on top of the fish and move around, have all your electronics right there, it's a little tougher to do in a console boat. I mean, obviously console boats have their positives as well, but for a scenario like this, it is so nice for staying on top of these fish, staying mobile. All right, I'm just seeing that little bit of rubbly, rocky stuff on the bottom, and I think the smallies could be hiding in there. Oh, look at that. That's a snag. But a fish could pull it out of the snag. There's a fish coming up to it. Be nice if a fish pulled it out of the snag. Oh, he did! He did! That's ridiculous. That was so cool. I think this one's gonna be a bass. So cool. So much fun on a homemade bait. Like, I know that's not a big bass. I don't know, there's just something about it. We got smallmouth, we got perch. Jay's Jigs is back in business and we are about to drift into an iceberg. There's a nice boulder down there. Deploy the drop shot. So you can see I'm just jigging right beside a boulder there. Bass-like boulders. Oh, there we go. Hooked up. This might be another big perch. Wow, look at this. The perch population on Lake of the Woods is just ridiculous. We're having a perch fry tonight, boys and girls. Amazing. Amazing. On that big bait. Oh, I just missed him. He's still there. Oh, I missed him again. But, oh no. Oh. Oh, am I missing so many? All right, well, you can cast it as well. We're gonna try that just because we're not crushing them right now. So the thing to remember is that weight is supposed to be on the bottom when you're actually shaking it, right? You can swim it and stuff too, but that weight on the bottom, you can just kind of shake your rod on a slack line, which is different than a lot of techniques because typically you need to actually move the weight of the lure. But in this case, that weight's sitting on the bottom, and when you make your rod go, when you make the line go slack, that bait's dancing up and down. So you can drift with it, you can cast with it. We're gonna try dropping in this quick, 30 feet. Looks nice and rubbly. I might be a fish on top of the boulder, like right where I'm dropping. There's a fish. Ooh, that was subtle. I thought it was another perch, but it's, I think, too big to be a perch. Another smallie. Wow, those fish are sluggish. The water is cold, 30, 39. We got another very smallmouth. That looks like fish underneath us. There's the weight, there's the bait. You can see dropping down. You can even see my line. Look at that fish coming up, two of them. There we go, that's decent. Oh, man. Another smallmouth, a very smallmouth. One thing I definitely gotta say about these baits is nose hooking them is, you know, how I like to do it. I think how a lot of people do it. But the thing is that can tear very easily. So don't throw these away once they're torn. One thing you can do is you can shorten it, or secondly, so here's the water on the lens. You can shorten it, or secondly, like hold on to these and you can remelt them. If you do get into making your own baits, there's just no reason to throw your baits away, because you collect a pile of them and all of a sudden you can, you know, melt the new bunch. There's a fish under us there. I'm just zooming around from hump to hump looking for fish. As much as I'm looking for fish, I'm more so just paying attention to kind of the bottom composition right now, and because those fish can kind of hide in the boulders, but I'm looking for like deeper boulders, and you know, 25 to 30 is what I'm keying in on. Here we go. Look at this fish coming up. Oh, got him. Look at that big blob. He was right beside the boulder, like right where you'd expect him to be. That's more like it. Chunky, early season bass, eating my homemade drop shot bait. So good. I think we got another fish cruising in on the left. Let's zoom in. Oh, look at him. Look at him. I can't see my bait, but I can see the fish. I'm just gonna hold that weight on the bottom and just shake the rod tip. I'm not even gonna try to move the weight and move the entire rig. Look at that, he's on it. There's no reason to move the rig when that bait is just wiggling perfectly in his face. I can see more fish down there. There's another fish in the distance out there. Ooh, we are on the jackpot now. Another chunky little smallmouth on that beautiful bait, and they all just hook really nice in the top of the mouth. Here's another one coming in. Two of them coming in. Come on, here we go, here we go. Oh, that was good. That was so good. We didn't play with those fish for a while. That's more like it. And that's the best part about bass at this time of year, is typically if you find one, you find a bunch. I think there's a fish staring at me. Look at this. Oh, that's a little better. Come on, baby. Be the one. Want one decent smallie. 10 in the afternoon. Not a monster, but by far the biggest. No 3-pounders today, but I got no complaints for my first smallie session of the year. So good. Jumbo perch, big smallies. This is such a deadly technique for walleyes as well. And it's a great beginner technique. I do it a lot for walleye fishing as well, back when I guided, because the thing is, you just need to tell whoever you're fishing with to keep that weight on the bottom. If you can keep the weight on the bottom, you know you're keeping your bait in the strike zone, that, you know, 5 to 10 inches, which is so good for, you know, deeper bass, for perch, for walleye. So if you're, you know, you got kids in the boat or someone that can't feel the bottom is good, give them, you know, a really heavy drop shot weight, get that bait a couple inches up, and they're gonna be catching fish. But thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys like the lure making videos. If you have any other suggestions, comment them below, and don't forget to wear your life jackets. Thank you guys for watching.